All right, hello everybody. Just testing and getting ready, making sure that everything is working properly. Test. So if you're here, hello. Welcome to the mini class today. I'm just getting prepared, so we're going to start at 10 a.m. I think there's a bit of an echo here. And good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to test this sound one more time to make sure that there is no crazy echo happening this morning. I think what may be happening is my my microphone is picking up what's coming through my earpiece. Good morning. I was going to play music, but I think I may have fixed the problem. Okay. All right, we're going to be getting started in just a second. Still just getting ready. So if you're here, go ahead and drop a hello so I'll know that you're here. And also, feel free to share this out with anyone that you feel may benefit from it. We are talking about how to... We are talking about creating content when you have a busy and complicated life today. So for all my mompreneurs, all my working Shira entrepreneurs, we're going to talk about how you can actually get your work done today. Your content done. Let's see. No, that's number one. All right, we're going to get started here in a few seconds. All right, we're going to get started today. Hello and welcome everybody to the mini class. So I do this mini class every week. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kenya Halliburton of KenyaHalliburton.com. I am an online business choreographer. I work with women speakers, authors, and coaches and helping them to manage all the moving pieces of their online business so they can free themselves to do more of the stuff they love, live the life they want, and make the money they deserve. And today, I am talking about a topic that is really kind of and a big issue for women with big ambitions and complicated lives, and that is the issue of marketing, the issue of creating content and consistently and showing up consistently in the marketplace. You may have heard that saying, always be marketing. Well, it's really tough to do that when you got a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to share some tips and some stories about how this topic has affected my life, and hopefully share some things with you that you can take away and apply to your life and business to help you market more effectively. So again, I do this mini class every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Now that my kids are in school, I can kind of live stream anywhere in the house, or I can go to the park, or I can do some special things. And so today I am in my living room because I don't have to worry about the kids kind of running past or yelling. And there's a lot more sunlight in here, and I don't know, something about sunlight. It's not as bright today. It's still a little, but it's a lot of light in here, so it makes it I don't know, feels a little more cheery than being in my office where there's not a lot of light, well, not a lot of natural light. So if you're here, go ahead and let me know if you're joining me live. If you're joining me on the replay, still go ahead and chat with me and interact with the video as if we were live, and I'll go ahead and communicate just the same. And if you are a woman entrepreneur in search of a community that's support you and looking for a place to network, a safe place to kind of vent a little bit and share where you are in your entrepreneurial journey and look for insight and be able to connect with other amazing Shero entrepreneurs, make sure you go ahead and join the Shero Squad on Facebook at bit.ly/Shero Squad. You can also go ahead and do a Facebook search for Shero Squad and find it that way. We would love to have you. And all right, so we know that it's important to create content, and a lot of you are already creating content. You're creating videos, creating blog posts, you're creating social media content, creating a lot of different things to provide value for your audience. But what happens when life happens? What happens to your momentum? What happens to your ability to show up when the winds of life start blowing you around? You get tired, you get sick, something happens with the kids, something happens with the spouse. There are a number of different things that can knock you off your best intentions to show up. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because this has been like a really challenging thing for me. And I've over the years had to kind of claw my way through it, especially if you are in, some sort of unique circumstance, like you're in a toxic relationship, or you're in some sort of toxic environment that kind of really makes it hard for you to do the things that you really want to do. And so trying to swim through that. And sometimes it just is what it is. You might have to lay low for a while and kind of do the sporadic thing as you need to. But I want to talk about this because actually this has impacted my life just a bit. Because I started doing this challenge, this live stream challenge where you live stream every day, and I was doing really good up until like the weekend hit this last weekend. And it's the Go Live Every Day in August challenge that Lou Bortone is hosting. And if you go ahead and you type that into the Facebook group, you can get in on that. It's not too late. But I fell off of that because I had some energy issues and just a bunch of other stuff, and I wasn't able to honor that commitment to myself. But it's okay, it happens, and you just kind of get back on the horse. So I want to talk today about how to keep up with your content when your life is busy or complicated. And I don't know if any of you have had this issue or had this phenomenon happen to you. I know that in my experience with the ladies that I've worked with and the ladies that I talked to, that this has been a really complicated issue because, when life happens, one of the first things to suffer is our communication. When we get really busy, either with life or with the business, with the success that's going on in our business, one of the first things that kind of suffers is communicating, is the emails, are the blogging, it's the videos or whatever it is that you are doing to get that business or to get out there. It gets cut off. And this is especially true if you're flying solo, if you're a one-woman show and you're doing all the content yourself. Then if something happens to you, then there goes your marketing, there goes your visibility. And so for me, the solution has been pre-planning, pre-scheduling, being proactive instead of so reactive. And one of the ways that a lot of people talk about doing this is by doing what's called an editorial calendar. And you may have heard that, you may have seen that, you may even use that yourself or have tried to use it. But what I found is the editorial calendar doesn't go far enough. Why? Because the editorial calendar is really kind of like a schedule of topics of when you're going to post and what you're going to say, right? It gives you some sort of deadline. You identify, what posting schedule. So if you're going to post every Monday, then you might have on your calendar every Monday for the next month or the next 2 months or 3 months, what the different topics are that you're going to post. Or if you're going to blog every day, you might, which is really ambitious. Kudos to you if you can do that. But you might go ahead and pre-plan out the topics that you're going to cover every day for the next couple of weeks, months, whatever the time frame is. And that's very helpful. However, for me and for a lot of us, what happens is it's not knowing what to say is really helpful, but sometimes that's not even the issue. Sometimes it's the logistics, right? It's getting everything you need to be done to get that blog post or that video or whatever type of content you're producing to go live at that, according to that deadline. It's getting those things done so that deadline can happen or so the topic can happen. And if you don't pre-plan, then a lot of that kind of falls by the wayside. So for me, the editorial calendar helps you plan your topics, is more of the what. And the missing component, as far as I'm concerned, is the production calendar. And so the production calendar is the calendar that tells you the when and the how. Like, when are you going to write the blog post? When are you going to proofread and edit the blog post? When are you going to get the any graphics you're needing to promote the blog post or put in the blog post done? When are you going to record the video? When you're going to edit the video? Whatever depending on what content format you're using. And so the production calendar and the editorial calendar to me go hand in hand because they both help you to achieve your goal of content. And so one of the things that I've started doing, and I tried to do this a while ago, but my life was really complicated, and so even sometimes the pre-planning is a challenge. But when you're pre-planning, you're doing things up front. Like you're still working, and sometimes you might still be working just as much as you would if you were doing it, on the fly. But you're kind of providing yourself some insurance to show up. And the pre-planning, the way that looks is I do what's called batch producing. And batch producing your content looks like, so if you decide that you're going to blog once a week or you're going to do a video like this once a week, then you can pre-produce the videos and maybe not live. But you could do live because they have technology where you can live stream pre-recorded videos. So that's a possibility as well. But basically what you do is you pre-create your content in advance. So not only do you know what the topics are, but you pre-create the content in advance. And then you go ahead and schedule that content out. And so I've done this where I created a video series, and like maybe the second week of each month, I would pick a day, like a weekend or something, and I would have my scripts done, beforehand, right? Take some part of the month to like work up to the scripts, and I would know what day I'm going to actually record. And so I would just spend that whole day recording the content. And then if I had people that were helping me edit the content, I would send that to them and get the blog set up and all the other pieces that I needed, and get it all scheduled out. And so that following month, I would start the process again, so that I would have like, a good 10 videos pre-created and ready to and scheduled to go out. And what that does is it allows you to, it helps you to market a little bit better, because even if you don't have some time constraints and you are present, just being alleviated from having to create the content in real time and market it and share it out and do all of that can take a huge load of pressure off of you, and release some pressure and give you some more flexibility and creativity and where to share it, how to share it, and that kind of thing. So there's a huge benefit there. And another way you can pre-plan is to maybe not necessarily produce the content, but you can outline, create your outlines for whatever you're going to cover, so you can be prepared. So like today, even though I just printed this out, but like a week or so ago, I came up with, some of the points that I wanted to cover so that I can be prepared for today. So that when today came, because this week has started off with a bang, like there's been a lot of, it's only Tuesday, and I feel like, I've done a week's worth of work yesterday. And so had I not scripted this out, I would have been up early this morning coming up with the bullet points of what I wanted to hit and what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to share. So pre-planning when you have a lot of things going on in your life is really, really important for being able to keep up with your content, so you don't get lost in the sauce. So if you know your life has a tendency to get a little rocky and turbulent, if you know that you have a day job and sometimes your day job can kind of get, take a lot of your time and put a lot of demand on your time, when you have down periods, then, kind of plan as much as you can, long weekends, not that you necessarily always want to work on your long weekends, but use the time that you have to pre-create or pre-plan or pre-outline what you need to do, pre-create your content, so that content can still be available even if you're not. So that's a really great strategy. It's worked really well for me. So I want to kind of walk you through three steps for staying on top of your content with this process. So the first thing that you want to do is determine who's going to be creating your content. So if it's only you, then you want to be careful about being too overly ambitious with how much content you're going to be creating every month. And so what I like to say is slow and steady wins the race when you're first starting out. And the thing that happens with us when we first start out is we have a lot of ideas, and especially when we're fresh, if you're just starting your business, you have all this stuff you want to say, or you just have one of those in the shower moments where like all these ideas are coming to you and you just want to get them out there. And that's great. You shouldn't, I'm not saying that you got to hold all that stuff in. However, if you somehow in that frenzy, like one of the things that I've done before is I would have had a week of like amazing conversations with women, and I've maybe had some success in my content rhythm, doing some other things, and I'm like, it would be really cool to do an interview series. And that's something that I've done and I've always wanted to do, but I would just jump into it. I would just go ahead and go for the gusto. But what ended up happening is I would be able to do it for a while, And then the logistics would get me because a bunch of life stuff and a bunch of, other things, getting a bunch of clients and things would halt it because I hadn't quite really planned out. I hadn't planned for success, and I hadn't planned for obstacles or distractions and things like that. And so one of the things that I've learned is if I have a really good idea and really good topics, it's cool for me to get on a live stream and test out the topic and that kind of thing, and maybe build a core plan around that. But committing to showing up with a certain type of content that I haven't really planned to keep up with, I haven't really planned for the success of, is a recipe for disaster, because what ends up happening is you end up doing it, and you might do it for a week or month, 2 months, maybe if you're lucky 3, but at some point you're going to crash and burn. So having a plan and understanding what your life will tolerate and what it's not ready for, and pacing yourself. So the first thing you want to acknowledge is, if it's you creating your content, you want to make sure that you're not too overly ambitious, right? And take into account your life. The second thing is, if you have a team, you want to include them into the process. And so you'll want to have a meeting with anyone that is essential to helping you create content, and come up with a flow so that everybody knows what they need to be doing and when. And so if if you're the one writing the content, that's fine. If you have someone to edit and proofread it, you need to know, okay, I'm going to write the content on a Monday, on the first Monday of the month. I'm going to bang out like 4 articles or whatever. And I'm just using articles as an example. It could be anything. But I'm going to bang out 4 articles on Monday, and then I'm going to shoot it to your editor or proofreader on maybe Wednesday, after you've had a look at it. And then they go through their proofreading and revisions, and you have that down. Okay. And then maybe Tuesday, you send the concept to your graphic designer or whoever's doing your graphics for your blog, and so on and so forth. So depending what your content package looks like and who you have helping you, then you create like a framework, a schedule of tasks that need to be done, and set deadlines that people know. For example, your editor knows, like, on Wednesday, she's expecting to get that content from you so she can go ahead and do her thing. So it's not so random, because one of the things that happens as business owners, like, we have all these ideas, and sometimes we have a blog and we give it to our virtual assistant and tell them to do it, but then there's like 3 weeks go by, nothing's happening in terms of content. Then all of a sudden, here you come with more content. It creates an imbalance. And so one of the things that you want to establish as you build your business, as you grow your business, is really think about systems and rhythm, not only for you, if it's just you, because if you have a rhythm, it'll be easier for other people to come in and get them on your rhythm. But if you have a team, rhythm is so important to morale. It's so important to the people on your team that have these gifts and talents. And if they already anticipate and they can flow with you, they can even take what you're doing and make it better. And that's really important in the marketplace too, is to not just create content, but to create content that really stands out. And so, you want, and if you don't have a team, you want maybe ask yourself, can I afford help? Right? Can I afford to hire somebody? And if the answer is no, that's fine. Just continue to pace yourself and figure out what schedule or what rhythm works for you in your life. And then once you get that down and feel really good about it, and you've disciplined yourself, you feel like you can keep up, then improve on the metrics, improve on the audience, improve on the quality, and get it to a point where it's actually producing results. Don't abandon ship so soon. And the best way to not abandon ship is to make sure that you're not being too overly ambitious. And so the second thing that you want to do is you want to choose a content planning day. Your content planning day, you're going to use to create your editorial calendar, and you're going to use to create your production schedule. So with the content planning day, what you're doing is choosing how frequently you want to publish your content and where. And so again, this might be you saying, okay, the first or the maybe the last weekend of every month, you're going to sit down and plan out your topics for next month. Or you can do it sooner than that. The first, if you start now, because there's going to be a little gap when you start. So you might say, the first week of the month, I'm going to start planning for the next month, right? And so maybe that first weekend or that first Friday or whatever day, you and your team sit down and say, okay, we're ready. We're going to plan for the next month. Maybe you have something you're launching coming up and you want to make sure you're picking topics that relate to that thing that you're launching or problems that the thing that you're launching solves. So that would be really smart. And so you can sit down and you can plan out that content in terms of your topics on your editorial calendar. And then you just want to make sure that you understand the logistics of what's going to go into actually producing that content. So what graphics are needed, how many, who's doing them, when should the content be outlined, when should it be created, when should it be edited and proofread, when should the social media promotional content to promote it be done, and so on and so forth. So once you figure out what the tasks are that are related to you producing that piece of content, whether it's you or a team, then that's really going to just, once you do it once, you'll just have it, and you just kind of repeat those steps and you plug it into your calendar, so that when that day every month comes up, you're like, what am I doing today? Oh, I'm doing content planning and edits my editorial calendar. So I'll be doing that for a couple of hours or whatever that looks like for you. So that's the second thing. The third thing you want to do is you want to test drive and tweak your process. You want to test drive and tweak your process. So you got to live with it. This is the practice part of your plan. You create your editorial calendar, you know what you're going to say, you've come up and figured out what the process and the flow is for producing your content, behind the scenes logistics from getting it created to getting it out there in front of your audience. And so the next thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and test it. The thing about creating content, unless live content works a lot more efficiently, but if you're even creating your live content as a evergreen asset where you want people to be able to find this content 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you want to make sure that you can keep up with it. And evergreen content or having content in and of itself is an asset. It's an asset because when people find your content, they can find it no matter what country they're in. They can find it no matter what time of day it is. They can find it with you there. They can find it without you there. And what it allows people to do is it allows people to sell themselves into buying your products, into working with you. It acts as a 24/7 sales force. So it's a really powerful thing to have content, to be in communication in some form or fashion. But if you're doing content, what you have to understand is that there is a lot of information out there, and depending on what content format you're using, it can take time to build out. So, and not only can it take time to build out, but it will take time for people to catch on to your rhythm. It will take time for people to say, oh, she's there every week, or oh, there's a blog post on these type of issues every day, or whatever your schedule is. And so people have to get used to your pattern. You have to get used to the way people show up and engage with you. You have to settle into a flow. And that can take time. So don't abandon ship if it doesn't work at first. Stick to whatever content format if it's a podcast, stick to it and improve upon it and test it and tweak it and see if you can keep up with it. See if you need to scale back. See if you have mastered the basics of your schedule and you can add more, and so that's what's most important in this, is that you you plan it, and then you live it, and then you tweak what didn't work and repeat what did until you become a master of your own content. And so pre-planning and pre-producing your content is called preparation. And we all know that preparation leads to not only success, but long-term success, because you don't have to worry about, being afraid of success because you're prepared for it, right? And so that's what, to me, and in my experience, this has been one of the ways that you can survive having a busy or complicated life, having unexpected things happen, but still being able to be in front of your audience in a way that is thoughtful. Because, the web is filled with so many people saying so many different things. And in this particular day and age, what you want to do is not just create content, but also create context to provide insight that people can use and apply right away, to provide quality over quantity. And being able to pre-plan your content is great. Not only because of all the benefits that I just shared, but also because it allows you to wrap your content around what you're selling, around what you're offering. I always say there are two things that your content needs to do to be worth the time, money, and energy you invest to create it. Number one, it needs to provide the most valuable answer to the questions that your audience is asking. Typing into the search engines, searching online, asking other people. And number two, it needs to tie back to a clearly defined business objective. And that clearly defined business objective is going to be whatever it is you're selling, whatever it is you want them to purchase. And that may look different for different people. But it provides you a way to maximize that marketing space, to maximize the momentum that you can create around your launches, to be prepared for that in advance, to have content that's just not random ramblings, valuable but random. It helps your audience say, okay, when she shows up to say something, I know she's leading to something. Like there's a drum beat. So yeah, she's doing this video. Oh yeah, she's doing this article, or yeah, she's doing this podcast. But I know that not only am I going to get some valuable insight and information into how I can solve this problem on my own, but she's going to provide some resource, or she's marching us to a program that I can take advantage of to be able to take this further and get support. And so that's what you want to do. You want to become a resource for your audience, and the best way to do that is to show up. And in order to show up, you got to get command over the winds and the waves of your life. And the best way to do that is to pre-plan and pre-schedule and be proactive instead of reactive to achieve your goals. So that's our mini class today. I didn't have a whole lot of fancy screen shares. I do a lot more in my group. So if you are a woman webpreneur looking for support in growing your online business, you got some life stuff that you need to a safe space to play out, join the Shero Squad on the screen, bit.ly/Shero Squad. I don't know why I can't say that word today. And we would love to have you and see you. And until next week, I wish you an abundance of joy, success, and freedom. Feel free to go ahead and comment and reply as you wish, and I will be in communication with you. Until then, you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.